What an end to the year it has been for Liverpool, and an incredible first 5 months for Arne Slot, seeing the year out in style at the very top of the Premier League table. The only way things can get any better would of course be winning the last 3 points of 2024 and extending this unbeaten run on the road in this competition to 11 games. Standing in their way today, though, are of course West Ham, who will be hoping to spoil the early New Year celebrations. We've got live audio commentary of the entire game right here for you on LFC TV at 5:15 p.m. It is a warm welcome along to my guests for this afternoon and our final pre-match of 2024. David James and Sammy Lee are alongside me for this one. Before you hear from them, though, we're going to give you the side that is going to line up against West Ham this afternoon. It is as follows. Just the one change from Arne Slot, that is Luis Diaz coming in for Darwin Núñez. So in total, it's Alisson in goal. Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk continue in the back line. As we say, Luis Diaz returns to the Liverpool starting lineup this evening. Alexis McAllister, Mohamed Salah, Curtis Jones continues in midfield. Cody Gakpo retains his place in the front line. And the starts tonight too for Andy Robertson, Ryan Gravenberch and Trent Alexander-Arnold. A few younger faces you can see as well on the Liverpool bench today. The likes of Jayden Danns and James McConnell join Quavin Kelleher, Endo, Darwin Núñez, Diogo Jota and Harvey Elliott, Kostas Tsimikas and Jarell Quansah. Dominic Szoboszlai, of course, is suspended for this afternoon's game after picking up a booking against Leicester. It is a warm welcome to both of you. We'll get into the team in a moment, but it's that strange period between Christmas and New Year. No one really knows what day it is. It is Sunday in case you're watching at home, but do you have a good one, guys?
Game day.
Game day, match day, that's the most important thing. Good festive season, though?
Excellent, as you can see.
Yeah, he's brought some Prosecco into the office, which you always do at Christmas. You're such a good man, aren't you?
You've got to try and get in the spirit. None of us are drinking and driving, by the way, just to let you know.
We're not, absolutely not. What about yourself, David?
Fantastic, yes. I was fortunate enough to be part of the commentary team for the Leicester win, which was beautiful. And,
it was a good one.
Yeah, sharing festive spirits with all my friends and family, so it's been very good.
I think football is a nice constant, isn't it, in a time of year where, as we say, we don't really know what day is it. It's quite a confusing time, isn't it? But you're looking forward to this one?
Very much so, Rex, and I have to say it's always the same. You know, the Christmas period, always hectic, always frenetic, lots of games in a very small period of time, but it's times like this when certain markers are laid down, and I have to say to you, I'm looking forward to seeing Arnie and his team lay the marker down.
Yeah, I'd agree, Sam. I mean, the funny thing is when you're winning, obviously the games come thick and fast. You don't really get much chance to enjoy the win.
Yeah.
On the flip side, and having been in both changing rooms at any given Christmas, when you're losing, it just seems like Christmas is too long and you want to get it over and done with.
It is such a hectic time of year, isn't it? But I suppose sometimes that rhythm, as you say, can help if you're obviously in good form. It's just on to the next.
Very much so, because it's all a question of momentum, as you say, to be honest with you. And I have to say to you, Liverpool seems to be in that vein. You know, but there's always the thing, it's the next one up, the next game, and you know full well we'll talk about this game as being, you know, a difficult game for a number of reasons. But, you know, again, that's what this Premier League's all about. They throw these games up thick and fast, and again I just hope we continue that momentum and continue to go on and win games, particularly away games. Yeah,
well, this is a slightly tricky away game. I think they're all slightly tricky on the road, aren't they? But in terms of the team, obviously we gave it to you at the top of the show. Just the one change. Is this roughly what you were expecting, David?
Yes. I mean, the interesting thing is looking at the bench. The other options, you said, a couple of young lads come in there. Chiesa's not involved, which he was on the bench last time, which I thought he might have got on. But yeah, it's as Sam said. I mean, you've got a side here full of confidence. You've got a manager full of confidence, and you get the win like Leicester coming back from behind. The difficulty in it is obviously jumping on a flight or however they travel down to London, having to play that game. You know, all the festive bits that we enjoy now.
Yeah.
You know, like an extra slice of Christmas dinner.
or two.
Yeah. The guys can't do that, but they're in this rhythm now where they just want to get them playing. And the side they selected, you would think, as normal, has become very customary, is is good enough to get 3 points.
But they're very professional as well, Beck. They know what this period's all about, you know. And we always used to say we'll have our Christmases at different times, sometimes in July, you know. But these will be totally focused on the job at hand today.
Yeah, we'll hear Andy Robertson's thoughts on the sacrifices players have to make during the festive season a little bit later on in the show. But front to back, we'll start with the front line, because a lot of people, I think, thought Diogo Jota might even start against Leicester. I think more people maybe thought he might start this evening, but not to be.
No, but I think, you know, I think there's obviously discussions going on in back at the training ground about the AXA, and I think one thing's good about Jota, when he's come on, he's had an impact, you know, and I think they're all well into this vein now, is that they're all going to play a part. We've said this on numerous occasions, Beck, is that with the game load that they have, they're all going to play a part. And what I love about this squad is that when they come on, they always appear focused, knowing full well that if they do come onto the pitch, it's to make an impact and to have an effect. And up until this particular moment in time, the players who've come on have all had an effect, which is, as a coach, that's all you want any of your bench to do.
I think from the boss's perspective, when you've got Cody Gakpo, Mo Salah and Luis Diaz all on form, there's no need to rush Diogo back, really, isn't there? They want to obviously manage his minutes quite carefully.
There's that, and I think as well, again, because of the time period, because of the amount of games, you don't really get much chance to change things with training sessions. It's more about ticking over, and I think when the formula is working, it's not to say it's perfect, because there are a lot of goals being conceded, arguably, but when it's working, you go, okay, we can afford to let Diogo stay on the bench now. When he comes on, though, he offers a completely different style of play, as he proved against Fulham. And I think if the formula's not quite working, then Arnie has the options to change things rather than change it from the get-go and possibly not have that cohesion that we've seen in the last few weeks.
Yeah, and obviously Manchester United next as well, so you think that the boss may well want to use him in that one, Sammy?
Yeah, well, I think first game first, you know me, first game first, you know, we've got to get this man out the way. I tell you what's good to see, young Jayden Dan's back on the bench as well after his injury.
Yeah, I think a lot of fans will be hoping to see some of him today.
It'd be nice for him and his family, you know, so, and I'd say it'll give him an opportunity, you know, because he could come on. You know, but I think, listen, we spoke about it on many occasions. That's the skill of a backroom staff, is when you administer minutes to people, you know what I mean? They'll have every bit of information from the sports scientists saying red zones and what have you. When they're ready, again, which is very important for Liverpool Football Club, is that when they're ready to come onto the pitch, they come on and have an impact which is crucial to any football club.
Luis Diaz, obviously through the middle, you would expect that is how it's going to work this afternoon, and it's worked quite well when we've seen that in the past.
Yeah, I find it interesting with obviously him starting ahead of Darwin, is that where Cody and Darwin have started, you're wondering why Diaz hasn't taken one of those positions, because quite often with Arnie this season it's either been one or the other. It was effective obviously against Leicester, but Lewis offers, I was going to say something different, but what we saw from Cody, especially against Leicester, was a lot of what Lewis does from the wide, cutting in, and obviously his goal was fantastic in getting into those positions. So it'll be an interesting, I'm sure effective, but an interesting difference having Lewis and his ball playing skills rather than Nunez's sort of aerial physical presence and ball over the top ideas. So yeah, it's just a little tweak which could make a big difference.
And don't forget, Gakpo scored 4 goals. Yeah. You know, which he's had a massive input to this football team. So I think the pleasing thing from my point of view is that there seems to be a fantastic rotation. The 3 of them when they're on there, obviously we know where more will be, but the other 2, whichever permutation, they seem to be able to rotate, come inside, go out wide, you know, so that causes defenders problems, that causes defences problems. So for me, because they're not really sure which angle they're going to come at, which is a terrific for Liverpool Football Club, because what they're doing, they're causing problems for defences.
Midfield-wise, obviously we did say when we gave the team news out, but Dominic Szoboszlai is suspended today, which is a miss not having him as an option to bring him on from the bench, but Curtis Jones, of course, has been outstanding, and that midfield 3 picks itself, I think, today.
Outstanding? What goal scoring outstanding? Yeah, fantastic. I think, and again, it's interesting listening to Sam, because when the backroom staff and Arna are planning their games, obviously with Dominic being a substitute to start with at Leicester, to come on and get booked within a minute, which leads to a suspension, wouldn't have been a part of anybody's planning. No. However, it means that he misses this game but will be available, as you say, for Manchester United. So in a way, it was a blessing in disguise, perhaps, that the suspension is now. But with Curtis, I mean, I've loved him this season. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. And part of that rotation, I think, again, this goes back to the backroom staff, sports science, is we look at a player going, oh, he's fantastic, but then he's rested the next game or doesn't start the next game, you're thinking there must be some indicators there that it's not the right time to play him, but when he does come on, it has an impact.
Yeah, speaking about suspensions, a few players still one booking away from a suspension, including Ryan Gravenberch, who we do not want to miss that Manchester United game, Sammy.
No, we don't. I mean, but that being said, to be honest with you, Beck, we don't want anybody to miss the games, you know, but, you know, it's on that tightrope that we're walking. But again, mention Harvey Elliott, great, he's back now, he's fit. So once again, he's on the bench. It'd be nice for him to go and end those there, you know. So that's the joy of having strength in depth. You know, obviously you don't want anybody to be out, whether it be through injuries or through suspensions. But because of suspensions, you know that they're competing for every ball. So this is going to happen. As you say, Dominic is out for this one. He'll hopefully be available after this suspension. So yeah, it's all about, you know, making sure that whenever we compete in the right way, because you really don't want to leave it to the behest of referees to give you another yellow card, hence a suspension, you know.
Yeah, I think Harvey Elliott will be frustrated this season. Obviously, injuries, as is always sometimes an issue for him, but back fully fit now, and he will really, I think, look at today in the second half, hopefully, as an opportunity where he can get on.
You saying he's hoping that Ryan gets a booking? So
I'm not saying that at all.
No, I think, and I go back to the conversation with Joey Gomez, the United away. He wasn't involved, but he was eager to get involved. And even in the early days then, he understood what the ethos for Arnie and the team was. And I think someone like Harvey, frustrated because of injuries, but also understanding that the reason he's not starting games when he's fit is because his team are doing so well. You just want to join a well-playing team, not have to be the guy that rescues the team. So I think he'll be in a great place at the moment. Like you said, he'll probably get some minutes in the second half and then be looking at
You want minutes in the first half, by the way.
I'm sure he will.
You want them in the second half, we know, which is great, because that's what you want out of all your players. But, you know, again, it'll come down, there's a number of factors that go into whenever they're introduced onto the pitch. It could be form, it could be the way the game's going, and it could be the fact of, you know, zones and red zones and all that, when they can be introduced. All I will say is that the pleasing thing from me, again, looking from the outside, is that it seems to me that whenever they come onto the pitch, they're ready. But that's so important.
OK, thanks, lads. We are going to hear from someone who starts today now, Andy Robertson. He was on the score sheet the last time Liverpool travelled to East London. This time, though, he's hoping his side will walk away with all 3 points and make it 9 from 9 for the festive period.
Was it good? Anytime you're top of the table, it's always, you know, it's always a good thing to be. But you know, unfortunately, you don't get a trophy for being top at Christmas, and I think that's what. You know, I think that's what we're always reminding ourselves, that it's good to be top, it's good to be leading, it's good to have that points advantage, but we know there's still, you know, we're not even halfway through the season yet, and I think there's still a lot of football to be played, a lot of games to be played, and yeah, we want to be top in May, we don't want to be top at Christmas, but you know, so far so good.
Now to West Ham United, the likes of Kudus, Jarrod Bowen, plenty of firepower themselves. What kind of a test will they be for you?
Yeah, good team. Obviously changed the manager in the summer and things like that, but you know, West Ham have always gave us tough games. They're always a good team to play against. You know, like you said, the players you mentioned there, they've always got a good front line. They've always got a pretty solid defence, and yeah, it's always a tough place to go. That's for sure. And but you know, hopefully we can cause them problems as well with the firepower that we've got, and you know, if we can do that, then you know, hopefully that's enough to get a result.
This time of year is arguably more chaotic than others. Are you ever able to switch off? I mean, the pressures, the scrutiny that you guys are under, how do you cope with that kind of a unique lifestyle, to say the least? Yeah, look, that's the thing, you know, you see all your friends back home and things having Christmas parties, Christmas nights out, and you know, stuffing their face with chocolate and things like that. And yeah, for us, it's very hard to ever switch off. You know, even on Christmas Day, you don't really switch off. You know, more often than not, you're training and you've got a game the next day. And yeah, it's a different time for us than a lot of people at Christmas. But we also know that we're part of the entertainment at Christmas. You know, everyone loves a Boxing Day game. Everyone loves that. You know, there's pretty much football on every single day, and you know, we know people get Christmas presents to come and, you know, watch games and things like that. So
It's all part and parcel of it. You know, I'm used to it now. That's for sure. But yeah, it's a bit different for us for sure. And but you know, as long as we win games, then you know it doesn't ruin Christmas too much.
Fingers crossed, though.
Yeah.
And don't want to see you in pantomime anytime soon. Stick to entertainment.
Yeah.
He's definitely not going to be in a pantomime anytime soon, Andy Robertson, you can say that for sure. I mean, you touched on it earlier on, Sammy, about the sacrifices you make as a footballer. I mean, how was it for you guys? Did you enjoy this time of year? Is it hard balancing football and family life as well?
I grew I started to understand how to do it properly. I think Andy, obviously slightly few years younger than me and Sammy, would have been growing up in a system where they were used to preparing the right way even over Christmas periods. I think when I was younger, you would eat all the food and just hope that you'd get away with it. Towards the end, I would be like the miserable one at the Christmas table.
You've still been a food coma on Boxing Day trying to...
Towards the end of my, the better parts of my career, no. You would not have any alcohol, it would just be very simple food, let everyone else enjoy themselves and just hope they don't keep you awake when you get in an early night. So
I loved that interview what he done there, because he said everything, it's superb. You mentioned things like you can't win titles or get titles in Christmas, you know, but best to be at the top, you know, because you can't win them, but you can certainly lose them. And I thought he was great. And I'm not actually sure he was talking about me when he said about stuffing my face with chocolate, you know, but he knows me too well. But it's just, as you say, sacrifice is part and parcel of what we've done over the years. And I have to say to you, as you can see now we're reaping the benefits of the turkey butties and whatever, you know. But these guys, the top professionals, they know what's required of them, and you look at them now and you know full well that they're preparing well for games. They really are. Well,
listen, he is of course one of the senior members of this dressing room, and senior heads, and that kind of experience is exactly what's needed when you are in the midst of a potential title-winning season. I think we can call it that, David.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's interesting when we talk about sacrifice. I mean, they've had the pleasure of winning the Premier League, a lot of these guys, or a few of these guys at least, Andy obviously included in there. The sacrifices are that they know that this doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
Even when you look at successful sides this period, I mean, you know, to win 4 titles in a row, it's only 4 titles. It's not like forever. Things come to an end. So to make those small sacrifices at the time might even feel big at the time.
But David, your career doesn't last forever.
That's the point.
Your career doesn't last forever. So to be honest, these guys realise that, you know, well, we all realise that it's worth the sacrifice. It really is, because again, I repeat, we can celebrate after, whether it be after the season or after our career finished, you know. So it's a short career, and they want to maximise it and make the most out of it. And this squad of players certainly are doing that. Yeah,
I imagine that the senior voices in the dressing room are transmitting that message to some of the younger players who've not been in this position before.
Yeah, personally they wouldn't have been, but they would have grown up around the training facility. They would have seen these players and say, it's not like last time Liverpool won the league was 20 years ago and no one there understands it. These guys have been there and done that. They would have seen the professionalism. As I said, I mean, I mentioned Joey Gomez. I mean, he's probably one of the more experienced ones now. The way that he was talking, he understood what his role was in this, and at the time he wasn't a starting player. Now he's a starting player, so he's kind of had to, I say it's not even suffer, he's had to be part of a system, a setup which is breeding winning players, winning teams, and these young players will be looking at them, the likes of Dan's will be looking at it and going, okay, I know what I need to do, even if I'm not involved physically on the field, when I'm asked upon, then I'll be ready.
And I think a lot of credit should be given to the academy staff, Alex Inglethorpe and his staff, you know, because they're preparing these guys, you know, for the full entity of the game, you know, Christmas periods, hectic periods, you know, closing down games at the end, you know, to make sure you win the game at the end, and also finishing season. So a lot of credit should be given to the academy staff, because they're preparing them guys for the bigger picture.
You say there about one game at a time. I know you always say that, but in terms of the dressing room, that has to be the mentality at the moment. But as fans and supporters, we are allowed to get a little bit excited, and we are allowed to enjoy it at the moment.
We're allowed to be ridiculous, I mean, the reality, I mean, we were talking just before we went on air there about beating Tottenham 6-3 is 3 points. You know, beating Leicester 3-1 is 3 points. And every game, doesn't matter how big it is, the value is only 3 points. And I mean, I've been saying a lot this season about 90 points and the race to 90 points, if you like. The first team to 90 points has got the best chance of winning the title. And if you look at Liverpool at the moment, they are in the best position to get to 90 points first. I think Arsenal and Chelsea can afford 2 losses and their maximum will be 90 points. So it's just amassing loads of 3 points, one game at a time. We as supporters and fans want it to be the most spectacular performance every time, just so we can tell our friends who support someone else how good we are. But in the end, if it's a scrappy 1-0 win and it's 3 points, then it just adds to the total.
But we as supporters, we can go and enjoy Christmas like they can't. You know, we can dream, whatever. You know, we can talk about winning titles, but again, the negativity, or me being a coach, the reality is you've got to prepare for the next game. And I can guarantee you as well, so you mentioned them beating Spurs 6-3. I know for the fact they'd have been really pleased. The still question would have been asked about how come we conceded 3 goals, which is, as a football, that's what you want to do, because we mentioned on many occasions when being here, Bex, about clean sheets. From clean sheets you can do anything, you know. So they will have been concerned they conceded 3 goals, even though they scored 6. But that being said, great to win. Tottenham away, 6-3. Great entertainment, and as Robbo alluded to before, they're part of the entertainment business, which keeps us all enjoying Christmas and the rest of the season, hopefully. Yeah,
they're entertaining us a lot at the moment. I mean, just as Sammy says, you know, it's about the smaller picture and just the next game for the players. But I suppose the overall big picture is it couldn't be any better in terms of it's Liverpool's to lose, or should we say it's Liverpool's to go and win? Is that a better way of phrasing it?
To win. I mean, what's interesting, listening to Sammy there, and having played in a couple of 4-3 games against Newcastle, which fans even now go, wow, they were amazing, fantastic. I personally was struggling with the 3 goals I let in, and then it became a problem, even though we won 4-3. And didn't deal with it the right way. And again, I think this is where the Arnie and his staff have to be right. You can beat Tottenham 6-3. You can look at the 3 goals you concede and say, OK, we can do better at that. But don't lose your heads the fact you conceded 3 goals. It's not always about clean sheets. It's about getting 3 points. But make sure that you correct what you did before. Is it Liverpool's to lose? It's in my head, simplistically, it's a race to 90 points. And there's realistically only 2 teams that can achieve that. So just keep ahead of them, and then you're in a good place.
You make it sound so simple and so
easy. In reality, it is very simple, but it'd be nice if, like Christmas, you could have a little bit of extra bit of garnish on here and there.
Football is a simple game, complicated by people like me, coach I mentioned before. You know, but I take a similar slant to David on that. I mean, and I think Robert mentioned it before. You can't win titles at Christmas, but you can lose them. You can lose them, and I hope some clubs are losing it, you know, but we're in a great position because, as you say, we're top of both leagues at this moment in time. You know, you'd rather be there than be 7 or 8 and 9 points behind, you know. So again, I think we're in a fantastic position. But you mentioned before, I know exactly what these guys will be going. It's about improving every day, every week and every game. So go back to 6-3. Let's make sure we don't concede them 3 goals. Great win 6, you know, but it's all about constant involvement and improvement.
One thing I will say, Becky.
Go on.
Robbo doing that interview saying that you don't get titles at Christmas. It would have been a very different interview if they'd been 6 points behind and played an extra game.
Very true. Very true. Obviously, it is West Ham who stand in the way of Liverpool getting another, hopefully quite simple 3 points today on the road. Let's just remind ourselves, actually, of what happened when Liverpool played West Ham in the Carabao Cup, which was a couple of months ago now in the 3rd round, and they made quite light work of it, Sammy. 5-1 win. Like Leicester at the weekend, though, that they scored early, visitors, but Liverpool's quality shone through in the end.
Yes, and hopefully it always will. I have to repeat myself, forgive me. I just prefer us not to go a goal down. You know, even against Leicester, you know, we concede that goal very early doors. But again, and you've heard me mention this word on many, many occasions, I won't apologise for it. They have a resilience about them. You know, whatever the scoreline is in front of them, they know that they can go forward like this, they can carve teams up, and they can finish like this. You know, so when you've got that kind of skill, that kind of prowess, then yet you can beat many, many teams, and not all the teams. But again, I repeat, I'll go back to what a lot of good minds have said, be nice to keep the clean sheet, because we'll win any game, we'll keep a clean sheet.
Yeah, let's speak about that, David, in terms of conceding first or conceding in the first half, and sometimes starting slightly slowly, because certainly not been a feature of this season, but it's something we've seen a few times, I think, and sometimes it almost feels like they need a little bit of a jolt to get going in some games.
I think, I'd agree with Sammy without just want to be the goalie sort of mentality that just loves clean sheets, but the opposition, if they feel they get a chance to score, then they might feel they have a chance to defend that lead.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be the best opposition to do it. Someone like, and I say this respectfully, someone like Everton, who have got a history of scoring and just defending, for example. Liverpool, I think, traditionally give up big chances, just the way they play, or they have done in the last few years, and that's why I think Ali's the best goalkeeper in the world, because so often he has come to Liverpool's rescue early on in games, made big saves. Liverpool go on and win the game comfortably, and people forget that Ali did something early. It's mastered, I wouldn't say an issue, but just the style of play. And I think when you go into the data and look at the way that Liverpool play now, a lot more second half goals. I think even Arnie and the style of play isn't as all out to begin with. Under Jurgen, I think everyone expected the first 15 minutes to be absolute mayhem, and if you could suffer that sort of onslaught for 15 minutes as an opposition, then you'd get back into the game. I think Arnie's a little bit more pragmatic in his performance. Also, I think the opposition, and Leicester was a prime example, they don't plan to be 1-0 up after 10 minutes, and it's kind of like, what do we do now? They go into a completely different way of playing, which allows Liverpool to get back on top of them, and as we saw on the weekend, I forgot my days now. The other day, Boxing Day.
Thursday.
You get a late goal in the first half, an early goal in the second half, and then the rest is history.
Goals change games.
They almost scored too early in that game, didn't they?
They may think that now. We didn't at the time, you know. But to go back to your point, to be honest, Rebecca, it has been a feature of Liverpool being slow starters from the first game at Ipswich. You know,
Curtis Jones said after the Leicester game, he spoke to LFC TV, and he said in his mind it's something that bothers him quite a lot, and he was saying, I don't know why we kind of do this. I mean, realistically, sometimes you are going to concede first, but it's not really a position you want to be putting yourself in.
No, and I've got, again, I don't want to get het up over it, you know what I mean, or lose too much sleep over it, but because that's for us to lose sleep over coaches, we'll try and sort that out, you know, to find out why this is happening. But again, to what Dave was saying before, they will have to find out the reason why it's happening, because as you so rightly said, it has been a feature, you know, and sometimes you'll come up against teams who you may go the goal down and you may not be able to claw it back. So I'd prefer, as you say, to start off bright and finish bright, if you like, you know, without conceding any goals whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I did a little bit of homework on this, and if Liverpool concede in the first 10-15 minutes, they don't lose. In fact, they're more likely to go and win the game. Fulham was an exception because Robbo obviously got sent off early doors, and they're playing 10 versus 11, even though it looked like Liverpool probably had the extra man. It's when they concede later the first goal that it becomes more of a problem.
OK, thanks both. It is time for us to say goodbye now to our viewers on our social channels. If you do want to stick with us, then head to liverpoolfc.com/video to sign up to LFC TV. Now, for those viewers who are going to be with us after the break, we've got more build-up to this evening's game. Curtis Jones gives us his thoughts on West Ham at 5:15 p.m. We've got live audio commentary, and at 7:15 p.m. we're back with all the post-match reaction. And if you missed the post-match show later on tonight, you can catch up on everything with the Reaction podcast. Then at midnight, we have got the full match replay on LFC TV, and then get an exclusive look behind the scenes with Inside. That will be dropping on our YouTube and Facebook channels on Tuesday. Well, Liverpool have scored at least twice in 7 of their last 8 Premier League away games against West Ham, including in each of the last 5 in a row. Arne Slot is looking to make that 6 as he travels to the London Stadium for the very first time for him. We'll get his thoughts after this break. Back in a couple of minutes' time.